Hi, I'm Jason from StrataGames. Today we are playing some more Pauper. We're playing Mono Blue Terror. This deck has been doing very well recently. It had dropped off a little bit for the last 3 to 6 months. Mono Blue Fae had been the predominant Mono Blue deck, but with the death of Broodscale, we've been seeing a bit of a resurgence with the Mono Blue Terror deck. It got 4 top 8s in one challenge last week, and in general, just seems like it's in a pretty good spot. So what better time to ruin that by trying out some of the new Tarkir Dragonstorm cards. So we're playing Unending Whisper. It's a single blue mana for a sorcery draw card, and Harmonize for 5 and a blue. Harmonize is flashback, but you can tap a creature to pay for the generic mana equal to its power, which means we can play a terror and right away harmonize this from our graveyard for just a blue mana and tapping the terror. I think the fact that this isn't an instant means that it's not going to be amazing. If it were an instant, I think it would be a very good card for the deck, but I think it's still going to be solid. I just want to give it a try and see if it's worth playing, or maybe it will not be. But it seems pretty good. Draw a card early, fill your graveyard, and then harmonize later when you play a terror to get an extra card for cheap. We are also trying a one of Focus the Mind. Draw 3, then discard a card for 5 mana at instant speed, and it costs 2 less if you've played another spell this turn. So if you hold up 4 mana, you can use Brainstorm or any of your other cantrips or instant speed spells, even a Spell Pierce, and then Focus the Mind. Seems like it could be pretty powerful, so we're giving it a try. Other than that, pretty standard. We're playing 4 Terrors, 4 Serpents, and 4 Delver of Secrets. Brainstorm, Mental Note, Thought Scour. We have a Sleep of the Dead to tap creatures, a couple Spell Pierces, counter spells for interaction, also 4 Demon Fears, Deep Analysis for card draw, and Lorien Revealed for card draw and lands. In our sideboard, we have 4 Annul, 4 Blue Blasts, 3 Dispels, a Murmuring Mystic, and a bunch of Tormod's Crypts for all of the graveyard combo decks that have been running around. So let's give this a try and see how we do. Just a reminder, I recently launched a Patreon account, so if you're interested in supporting me financially, go ahead and check the link in the description. All right, we're on the play for match 1. And we don't have a ton of interaction, but turn 1 Delver into a Spell Pierce, plus we have the Whisper to cycle. The bad part here is we don't have other cantrips to fill our graveyard and Brainstorms, but I'm definitely going to keep a turn 1 Delver on the play, as well as some interaction for it. And we can see right away if this Whisper is going to be decent. Opponent Brainstorms right away. So it could be a mirror match, or could be High Tide. Probably not Fae, since they don't run Brainstorm most times, unless it's like a Dimir Fae. We're going to flip a Lorien Revealed, absolutely, and attack for 3. And I think we will just save the Unending Whisper, so we can cycle a Lorien. We might as well just play it. Draw a card here, get another Terror. We can Spell Pierce or just Lorien Revealed. If they are High Tide, we kind of want to get these guys down as fast as possible. Merchant Scroll. So is this worth countering? Probably. I mean, it's our only interaction, so maybe it's not something we should be countering, but obviously keeping them off of getting a High Tide is good, and also filling our graveyard. I don't love that all we have here is Cycle a Lorien. Next turn, I guess we get down 1 Terror. That's pretty slow, but it's either that or we harmonize this Whisper with the Aberration, which seems bad. They're going to cycle a Lorien of their own. Ideally, we draw some counter spells here. They have a Scroll. There's the High Tide. Deep Analysis. Well, if we tap out here, I think we probably just lose. But is holding up just a bluff enough to stop them from doing anything? Probably not. I could play a Terror, or we don't even have them on a 1-turn clock. I could play a Deep Analysis. I think we just have to hope that they don't have it. And Deep Analysis, I'm sure this is just walking into them having it, but we gotta try, I suppose. I mean, we could have just bluffed, but I don't know. Maybe that would have been worth it. It just feels like we don't have a follow-up to the bluff, but whatever. They have the Ideas Unbound, plus a Puppetry, Peer Through Depths, Reach Through Mists, and another High Tide, Peer Through Depths, another High Tide, Blood of Recollection, and a Reach Through Mists. Pieces of the Puzzle. Find another High Tide and a Puppetry. I choose a Ponder, actually. Ponder. And go to end step. Discard 3 with the Ideas Unbound. I guess they whiffed. So we're not dead. And they kept one of those High Tides in hand, I believe, right? 3 are in graveyard. And I don't think they showed us more than 2 Puppetries. Or more than 1 Puppetry from hand. So their hand is Puppetry, High Tide. Nothing? Okay, well, we kind of have them now, I think, unless they can go off this turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can just play a terror. We can Unending Whisper with terror to draw a card. If we drew a counterspell there, that'd be kind of cool. Guess we'll just play some more terrors. Oh, I guess we flash back the... we'll just play a Cryptic Serpent. Again, maybe we should just hold up and bluff, but now if they have the ability to go off again, they're certainly going to do that. So there's a High Tide into a Brainstorm. See if they get anything. Merchant Scroll. That's pretty bad. Is Ideas Unbound their best hit here? We'll put them down to 2 mana. Another Puppetry. I guess if they have a Reach Through Mists, just untapping 2 is good. Yep. Okay. Into Ideas Unbound. That's a lucky draw. Cast a Puppetry, splicing one of them, so they only have 1 left. And they whiff. That was all skill. I knew exactly what I was doing, tapping out to make them think that they could go for it when they absolutely could not. I'm very skillful. Okay, we get Dispels. Mystic seems too slow. Crypt. I know they have Flood of Recollection, but otherwise Crypt doesn't seem that useful. We don't need Sleep. We don't need any Demon Furiers, though. So I guess these are more useful than Demon Furier. Unless they... I don't even know what they bring in here. I know Murmuring Mystic might be in their sideboard. They might play some Relics. That's not something to hit with a Demon Furier, though. Alright, everything I'm seeing for sideboards would be useful against us is Dispels, Relics of Progenitus, and Murmuring Mystics. So maybe we actually keep a couple Demon Furiers for their Mystic. I really don't think we need a Mystic of our own. Maybe just 1 Demon Furier. I mean, ideally we're countering the Mystic on the way down. Was I playing 61 cards? I just realized that I have 61 cards in my main deck. So that's interesting. Oh well. Another turn 1 Delver. Dispel's good, and then we have Mental Notes and Brainstorm. I'm going to keep this one. It's not amazing, and obviously I would love more counter magic and lands, but it seems decent. We got a Whisper. We're going to start with the Delver. They have a Merchant Scroll. We're going to flip Blind. We got an Island. I wanted to dig 1 deeper in case we didn't get an Island with the Brainstorm, so I took the chance of not flipping, and that did happen. That's fine. Attack for 1, and I'll just pass. We have a Dispel for the High Tide. They go for it here. If not, we will Brainstorm, put back a Mental Note and a Whisper. Then we'll Mental Note. They peer through Depths in response for a Puppetry. Spell Pierce is good. We're just going to let it go again. We hit a Thought Scour this time. Nice. All right, 4 spells in Grave. So... we're just going to leave up our interaction this time. The Pieces of the Puzzle. I'm going to Spell Pierce that, I think. It's pretty good setup card. I'd like another spell. I wouldn't hate another spell in my graveyard. I'm not going to be able to Spell Pierce like a High Tide right away anyway. Obviously, I'll Dispel the High Tide, but I think we take this while we can. Let's Brainstorm. Delver and a Counterspell. So I think this turn... we can hold up Counterspell and Dispel and play out a Terror. And then we have them on a 2-turn clock. Which means we're going to mill 2 here, so I don't need this Delver or this Serpent, I guess. Another Terror. Focus the Mind. Okay. I guess they're down to 13, so I could play 2 Terrors. And I have them on a dead next turn, but I only have 1 Counterspell. And they have High Tide and Puppetry. That seems pretty risky. So I'm just going to play 1 Terror and pass. Would love to get both down, but I think the chances of them having the ability to win here through 1 Counterspell are pretty high. Flood of Recollection, I will let them spend their mana to do that. But I don't know if I want to let them Merchant Scroll. This finds either Protection or another High Tide. I think we're going to counter this. That seems scary, plus we have the mana up. Another Counterspell is nice, so we will swing... and there's not really a reason to play a Terror. There's not really a reason not to. If they have like a Force Spike or something, I might need the mana, but that seems unlikely. If they do have like a Murmuring Mystic or something, maybe the extra body matters. I don't know. I think we'll just run it out just in case and hold up double Counterspell here. They're going to High Tide. We will Dispel that. They're going to Merchant Scroll. That's fine. Another High Tide. They're going to cast that. They're tapped out. I mean, they have a land drop. I feel like, how do I lose if I counter this? All right, they just concede. I'm not sure if I should counter this or wait for them to play something, because all they can really do after that's like an Ideas Unbound or a Reach Through Mist with 1 Puppetry, but I can counter that, so I wasn't sure which to do, but it felt like probably either way was going to be fine. So we got match 1. Match 2 here, no creatures, but quite a bit of setup and a little bit of interaction, which I think is good. We're on the play, so do I just play a Whisper turn 1, or do I just go for a Mental Note? Probably want to save the Mental Note for the Brainstorm. I think it's not super likely they play a 1-drop that's relevant for a Spell Pierce, so yeah, I'm just going to draw 1, get it in the bin. Okay, Arbor Elf is fine. If they went with a Utopia Sprawl, I would kick myself for the Spell Pierce. I can Brainstorm and then Demon Furier the Arbor Elf. That seems pretty reasonable. Although, if they just go for a Utopia Sprawl or something, we can Spell Pierce. I think we set back the Elf. Let's put back, we have a Serpent. Spell Pierce not likely to be super good against Ramp, although this could be Ponza, since Ponza's become a little more popular. Probably just put back Mental Note Lorien, and we'll like Thought Scour that away in our upkeep. But Demon Furier this now. They put it on the bottom, have the Wild Growth, and a Mountain. So we will Thought Scour, get a Mental Note and a Deep Analysis. So I think we'll just play a Serpent. They can maybe play a Chrysalis or something this turn, but I can't do anything about that. There it is. Sleep of the Dead's not bad. We don't need it this turn because they can chump, but they can't eat or trade with our guy. So I think we will start with a Brainstorm, look for more creatures. Delver's not bad. So do I want this Sleep in hand, or I can just bin it? That's probably better. So we'll put these on top. Attack, eats a spawn, not super great, but I guess I could just Unending Whisper with this Serpent, but I have to get through their spawn at some point. Might as well make it so it's when they don't have the mana for it. They just take it, that's fine too. 6, play a Delver, and pass. So we're probably not going to Mental Note this turn because we want to make sure to flip the Delver in the upkeep, since we know there's a spell on top. Altasaur is back, isn't it? Alright, Cascade, Stone Rain. I mean, I'm not super upset about that, but we might as well get value out of our Spell Pierce. We'll just use that. They're attacking, which is nice. Sweet. Because we can tap down the Altasaur with the Sleep of the Dead. So I can crack in for 9. That seems pretty good. We're going to flip the Delver, and then I will Mental Note. Counterspell's a great draw. Unending Whisper. I guess if we tap this down, we can't counterspell this turn. I have 5 mana. But if I feel like if I tap this down, I crack in for 9, this still doesn't untap next turn, then I can tap this or maybe the other thing down, whatever else they play. I think it's got to be worth it. We have a lot of other card draw to play, but I don't want to lose this Serpent, because otherwise we're attacking in, we're either losing this, which is bad, or we lose the Serpent. So I think we're going to Sleep of the Dead. Maybe I would have liked to keep this Sleep in hand for a cheaper use of it, but it's not what we're doing. So attack for 9, pass to them. Hope they don't do anything too scary this turn. I mean, a Boarding Party would be bad. An Avenging Hunter would be fine, because I can tap that down, and they kind of have to chump here. Well, they definitely have to chump here. Yeah, if it's just one creature, I'm not super worried. Chrysalis, I guess, would be the worst. Avenging Hunter, totally fine. Get a Forest, pass. So I can tap down the Hunter, crack in. They have to block here. 1 mana shy of being able to eat both, I guess. But tap down the Hunter, attack. They have to chump. I take the initiative. They do have an Aberration. Not Aberration. No, I have the Aberration. They have an Altasaur to attack back for 6. But this doesn't attack. I guess if they get a Boarding Party off the top, it's 12. That's still not lethal. So, plus we get to hold up Counterspell here, actually. So that's pretty good. So let's sleep. This card's so good. So they have like a Snakeskin Veil. So attack in. They have to chump. We take the initiative. And we'll hold up Counterspell. They have a Boarding Party into a Thermokarst. So we'll just counter the Boarding Party, and that should be that. We lose a land, but not a big deal. We can get in for lethal. All right. Definitely a match I would love to have a Boomerang instead of the Demon Furier to hit their lands. Nothing here seems great for sideboard. Dispel, they don't have really any instance, unless they'll probably bring in like Pyros or something, but Pyros and boarding parties are the only thing to hit with this. Utopia Sprawl for this. Murmuring Mystic, I don't think that's necessary for this match. Makes a lot of chump blockers, but they have a lot of tramplers. I think we're going to say our main deck's okay. Spell Pierce isn't amazing, but it's better seeing as they're on Ponza rather than just monsters. A way to keep our lands alive on turn 1. In fact, definitely a worthwhile thing to start in our opener. This one lander with only brainstorms to cast, this seems bad. Let's get rid of that. Another one lander. We at least have some Thought Scours and a Whisper. We're going to keep this one and get rid of the Serpent, I guess. Or this Inferior isn't looking like we're going to be able to cast it for cheap anytime soon. We'll do that. Hopefully we just draw a couple lands and mill over the right spells. Don't get our land blown up on turn 1. Arbor Elf seems bad for that. Spell Pierce would be decent here. Just as a little insurance. Another Serpent. Okay, deck doesn't believe in insurance is what I'm getting. Relic of Progenitus. That's pretty annoying too. Almost as bad as losing our land. Wild Growth in a weird order. Okay, we're going to attack. We will Mental Note. We did hit 3 spells. That just makes it so the Relic can hit a spell. And they got it. Sleep of the Dead. We got a Brainstorm and hope we hit a land here. We do. We also hit a Delver. Okay. We don't need this many creatures. So I think we put back Serpent and a Whisper. Whisper on top. We play a Delver. Or do I just want to Sleep of the Dead this Arbor Elf? Because we don't have any other way to stall. That means the best they can do is a 4-drop as opposed to a 6-drop. No Delver's kind of unfortunate, but that might be necessary. Although we're going to lose our sleep to the Relic. Yeah, I guess we're going to do that, though. We're going to get put back 2 Serpents here, I think. Sleep this guy. They're going to Relic us. No play from them is pretty nice. I would love if they just pop the Relic now, but they're not gonna. We know 2 Cryptic Serpents are on top. We cannot really afford to draw those. So unfortunately, we're going to do this, even though they still have Relic up. And a Mental Note. They crack Relic now. That's not the worst. We were never getting this guy down now. Okay. So we can Mental Note, try to hit another land drop, or Whisper for that reason. Or we could just play a Delver. Delver's not going to do a lot. We really need to hit that land drop. So let's Mental Note. Another Mental Note, and a Demon Inferior and an Island in the Grave. Okay. Well, this turn, if they get like an Altasaur, we're in pretty bad shape. We might be able to power out a Terror next turn if we're lucky, but Rumble into a Hunter. Yeah, it's pretty good. They're going to cast it. Grab their Mountain. Yikes. Got our land. We're only at 2 spells in Grave. Yeah, we're going to Mental Note. If we get lucky, we had a Whisper. And we drew a Whisper. More Whispers than I'd like. We could... Can't play a Terror. So do I just hold up a Counterspell? Play a Delver and a Whisper. Okay, so we get a Delver down. Maybe we can flip it and take the initiative. I guess we kind of have to, in which case we might as well play a Whisper as well. There's the Delver. And pass. I mean, they still have 4 cards in hand. One's a Mountain, but... if they come out with a boarding party or something, we're kind of in a bad spot. But if we can flip Delver, take the initiative, and then next turn get down 2 Terrors, we might be okay. Of course, Avenging Hunter goes up to a 7/6 now. They got the boarding party into Utopia Sprawl. So that's 13 damage. Plus they got an Acid Moss. Yeah, we're probably dead. Down to 6 here. Flip the Delver. Draw a pretty bad card. We can attack, get our land. We have to play a Whisper to be able to play 2 Terrors. Then we can block, but we take 2 Trample and they trap us. I guess I could not take the initiative, but then I can't get down 2 Terrors, which means they kill us anyway. So we are dead. Unfortunate. All right, we're on the play. Turn 1 Delver, and then we have a Counterspell. Yeah, seems all right. Plus we've got some land drops. Cast that Delver and pass. They've got a Wild Growth. You get a Mental Note, that's great. Not only does it flip the Delver, but it's also going to start filling the graveyard. Definitely where we want to be. Hold up our Counterspell. They've just got a Thermokarst. I'm not sure I actually care about countering that. We have 4 lands here. Makes it hard to get to deep analysis, but I think I'd rather just save the counterspell for something else. So I'm just gonna cycle this Lorien. And mental note, get a Lorien and an island, a Serpent. Demon Inferior might be okay. We'll pass, hold up another counterspell. If they go for another land destruction spell, we'll probably have to counter it, especially if it's a Moan Volley. Acid Moss. They can't have a Chrysalis here, just an Arbor Elf to start. That's pretty bad, to be honest. But I don't think countering that's where we want to be, especially if they do have a Thermokarst after it. I think that's fine. They got nothing else, though. Brainstorm would be pretty good. Well, we got a counterspell. Kraken for 3. No Serpent, so just holding up counterspells. Or forests for them. They got a Wild Growth. Here comes the Altasaur. Cascade into an Avenging Hunter. Okay. I think the Avenging Hunter is good. It lets us get a land. Plus we'll be on 4. So yeah, I think we're just going to counter the Altasaur. They got a mountain. Brainstorm. You didn't really need another island, seeing as we're already going to get one here. They're on 8. So Cryptic Serpent's 3 mana, so I can't do that and anything else. I mean, I'm either Cryptic Serpenting or Counterspelling. Can't also Demon Inferior, which is annoying. I think we gotta hold up Counterspell. The next turn, I can Demon Inferior and Serpent. Yeah, that seems fine. We're gonna get the initiative back, is the annoying part here. But I can prevent a boarding party or another Altasaur or something. That's a boarding party. Into a Wild Growth is fine. We're gonna counter the boarding party. They have 5 mana for another Hunter. That's annoying, so that's an extra couple of damage. Now they're scrying. It is interesting because if they had just attacked me first, they could have taken the scry and then they could have gone into the next one. But they're going to hit for 5. They're scrying to try to find reach for this Aberration. They did bottom both, which is good to know. Another Serpent. Those are already 2 mana. So I can play double Serpent, and then I can buff one of them up with the Aberration, or I could with the Forge, or I could just buff up the Aberration, which becomes a 5/4. And then whatever they could play as a blocker, I can deem inferior. That seems good, actually. Plus, we have Trap if they don't take back the initiative. So, Forge onto this guy, Cryptic Serpent, and let's just make sure playing another Serpent. How does this go poorly? I guess if they get a Nyxborn Hydra, what does that do? 8 mana, 12, so I can buff it for 10. But in that case, I want to just have Serpents. 10 mana, boom, boom. So I'm still not dead because they didn't go to the trap. Yeah, I think we play a Serpent. This also means that any of these is lethal, plus them not taking the initiative is lethal, so they have to throw all their guys at us. But that leaves them with no blockers, unless they get like a Chrysalis or something. Boarding party's a pretty good card here. Into a Sprawl is nice for us. All right, we got there. Very nice. All right, we have some guys, some card draw, some counter spells. Well, cantrips for not really card draw, but you know what I mean. Hand looks fine. Not terrible, not amazing. Jagged Barons. All right. How are we against this deck? I don't know. I think I want to hold up the Thoughtscour Brainstorm together. So I'm just going to play this Whisper right now. Draw a card. Got a mental note. Next turn I can hold up a counterspell. Probably we counter like the Faithless Looting on turn 3 is my guess. Immediately have the Grab the Prize Sneaky Snacker. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. We get an island. We're passing. They swing for 2. Chain Lightning. Don't think I'm countering that. Bajuka Bog. I mean, pretty annoying, but glad that it didn't happen after I got these other ones down. We're going to Brainstorm. Another Serpent and a Lorien. Probably just put those 2 back. Get rid of them. Mental Note. Another Mental Note. So we're at 3 spells. Alright. A little flooded. 3 spells. So if I Mental Note and I hit at least 1 spell, I can play a Serpent. So behind already. Can I afford to not hold up this counterspell? I don't think so. I think we're waiting one more turn, counterspelling something, probably card draw, and then we're going full force, playing all our guys if we can. Trying to win in just 1 or 2 turns after that. Yeah, they're just going to bolt us here. I think we're taking that. Feels like a tough matchup. They haven't done anything exceptional. Like a solid start for them for sure, but not crazy. And we're already like dead, basically. They're just gonna pass. We're gonna mental note. Land and a deep inferior. I'm gonna brainstorm. Another inferior, 2 delvers. I guess we put back delver and a land. We're not gonna tap out right here, but we will thought scour in our upkeep. Spell pierce is decent. So I can play a delver and try to flip it next turn as a blocker for the snacker. That's like all we got. I mean, I could play these guys out, but then we're definitely going to die. I think we play Delver and hold up Spell Pierce and Counterspell. We have a Fiery Temper at the end step. I think we're going to Spell Pierce that. Use it while we can. Bluff another Spell Pierce so that hopefully we don't die on their turn. Faithless Looting, yep. Double Snacker, okay. That's going to be a problem. Where are our Tormod's Crypts when you need them? Taken 2. They got a Vampire's Kiss. Not afraid of the Spell Pierce, I guess. Well, if they got a Bolt, we're dead. So let's just Thought Scour. Didn't get anything relevant. Flip a Delver with this Spell Pierce that we now got. Well, I can hold up Counterspell. And I can play this. I don't think we can afford to hold up Counterspell and Spell Pierce. I think we just got to play out both our guys. I also don't think I can afford to attack here. This is already a 2-turn clock. Well, if they don't gain any life or have any chump blockers, but I think we're blocking here and countering the Faithless Looting and hoping that they don't have a Bolt is our goal. They do discard another Faithless Looting with a blood token. They're attacking. We'll block. They have the Bolt, so we got to counter that, and then if they go for the Faithless Looting, we can't do anything about that. They just have another Bolt, we're dead anyway. But triple Snacker is going to be pretty bad. We have to get like Brainstorm into another Demon Inferior to hit 2 Snackers and be able to cast these for cheap. Or we have to get like Double Strike. Double Strike. Deep Analysis makes it so we can do 1 Demon Inferior. So if we get an island and another Demon Inferior, we're not dead. Alright, we are dead. Yeah, we didn't have the fastest start, but it wasn't bad either. They just had a ton of stuff. Mystic seems good because it can get blockers for their Snackers. Red Blasts for sure. Dispels and Tormod's Crypts. Okay, I don't know if we can fit all of this. But Deep Analysis is bad. Demon Inferior seems bad. The only things to hit, like, they get back really cheap. Spell Pierce is decent. This might be one where the Whispers don't do a lot. Certainly not as much as the cards we're siding in. Same with the Focus, unfortunately. I think we just gotta cut some of those. Maybe we don't need 3 Tormods, but they're pretty reliant on Faithless Lootings, if not also the Snackers. This hand seems decent. We have a lot, only 1 land, but hopefully we can find another with the Brainstorm. Set up our Delver, get the Tormod's Crypt. We just have a lot of value here. Hold up a Dispel to protect the Delver. We'll pass. I'm gonna just play a Barons. I think we will Brainstorm here to set up the Delver and hopefully draw our land. Nice, we got there. So what do we want to show them? It's the Mental Note probably, because that's the least relevant. Although that's actually the one I'll probably want to cast if we don't do anything else. So don't put that back on top. I kind of want most of these. Sleep of the Dead can go, and I guess we're drawing 1 back per turn. So we'll draw back the Dispel, which means we have to show it to them, which means we can show them the Mental Note. Okay, I know what I'm doing. So let's do that. Show them the Mental Note. Draw, play that. Attack. Boom. All right. So we get to hold up Dispel. Mental Note if they tap out and we don't need the Dispel. If they do just go with like a grab the prize with the Snacker, I think we'll use the Tormod's Crypt to get rid of a Snacker early. Like, it's annoying using it for just that, but that and the Faithless Lootings are what we're targeting. And if we can get it before they can get it as a blocker for the Aberration, I think it's pretty good. If they just go for like, you know, whatever instant to try to kill this, they have an Extract a Confession. Of course they do. I can't counter that. I mean, I like that they don't use it on a Terror, but that Delver is going to go places. Just an island. Well, Terror costs 4. Can't do it even if we wanted to. I think we'll counterspell a Faithless here. Yeah, well, I could just counter like a Kitchen Imp if they play that. Yeah, guess it's fine since we can blow up the grave. Like if this is their only draw, like discard outlet, then I would love to counter it. But if it's not, then it's not great. They do discard a Snacker and a Kitchen Imp, so we'll counter the Kitchen Imp. Another island. Well, we have 4 spells. We can play a Terror with a Dispel backup, so I guess we're doing that in case they have a Pyro here. If not, I think we Tormods them, or they can get off the Faithless Looting. Obviously, we can do it before the Snacker, but I don't really want them to have the ability to looting anyway. So we'll just get rid of them now. If they have another Extracted Confession, I can't do anything about that, and that'll be pretty unfortunate. I'm not going to waste this on a Bolt, not at the moment. Another Faithless. Fiery Temper and an Alms of the Vein. That's a lot of damage. We're down to 10. And a Barons. Okay. Another Tormod's Crypt. Well, we're attacking for 5, and are we blowing up a Faithless Looting? They're running out of gas, and we're pretty close to dying, so I think we have to. Just hope that they don't have much else going on. If it's all Fiery Tempers that they can't discard, that'd be good. There's another Faithless Looting. Never mind. Fiery Temper and a Carnarium. We're not countering these until they're lethal, I don't think. But they are getting there. And they have a Grab the Prize with a Snacker. But they'd already drawn 3, so they don't get the Snacker back, is nice. But they've drawn... I think they've drawn exceptionally well, if I can say so. Mental note, we gotta try to draw a counterspell or something. Well, that helps. We have 2 more turns, and if we can survive that, we'll be okay. We'll counter the Faithless Looting, because it brings back a Snacker, and that's a 2-turn clock. They just Lightning Bolt us. So this isn't lethal, of course, but if they just have an Epic here, then we suddenly have to counter that. Plus a Snacker's lethal. I think we gotta Dispel this, unfortunately. Epicure's already kind of bad because it chumps the Terror, but I think we're letting it through if they do cast that. They do go for the Faithless. They're tapped out, but it gets a Snacker back. By counterspelling this, we're shields down. But if the Snacker comes back, I can attack for 5, but then they either use it to deal me 2 and kill me, or they can even use it as a blocker. I think we're going to counter. I hope we draw another counterspell and somehow survive. Thought Scour. Into Thought Scour. Into Cryptic Serpent. Well, I would prefer to hold a card in hand, but I'm going to play this out because if they can't kill us and can only present 1 blocker, then we will have lethal. But or actually 2 blockers because of the Sleep of the Dead. We can even get them. But Highway Robbery, discard an Alms of the Vein, so we're at 1. They just need anything for 1 mana then that deals the damage. That's the Epicure. Alright. Well, that one was close. Alright, this one looks solid. We get that turn 1 Delver. They have an Epicure. Looks like mono red to me. Delver's not long for this world then. But it's either that or we just hold up a Spell Pierce. If they go with like a Ren's Resolve, it'd be nice to have a Spell Pierce, but I think more likely they're going to just either bolt this and play a Tomb Raider, or they're going to play like a Pinger. Oh, it might just be more Rakdos Madness, actually. So there's a Kitchen Imp. Okay. Well, Mono Red I don't think is a great matchup for us either, but this one seems bad, as we just discovered. Let's not flip, because that's a Terror. I don't really need or want a Terror at the moment. So I guess I'm going to cycle this Lorien and attack for 1. If I'm not blocking, now it feels like I have to block with the Epicure here. Nope, I guess we're not doing that. We can set up a Brainstorm on our upkeep. That'll allow us to deem Inferior too. We are going to Spell Pierce that Faithless Looting, prevent another Kitchen Imp from coming down, and ideally from them finding their 3rd land. They're going to crack in for 3. They have the Great Furnace. And a Vampire's Kiss. Okay, we're gonna Brainstorm. No lands. Go back. Deep Analysis and Whisper. Flip the Delver. So I could Demon Inferior this turn and leave this back, but then I'm drawing those cards that I don't really want. Or I can just Thought Scour them. And I can Brainstorm this later. Yeah, I think we're Thought Scouring. If I draw a land, we can still do the Demon Inferior plan. That's a Spell Pierce. And a Mental Note. Alright, well I guess I'm holding back. They have a Blood Token for a Fiery Temper, pick off the Aberration, hit for 3, we're down to 8. They have another Kitchen Imp, which I guess I thought that they had earlier, so that makes sense. We're down to 6 then. Another Delver, Brainstorm, can't hit a land. If we could hit a land, we could double Deem Inferior, but no such luck, of course. I think we need a land pretty badly, so I'm going to mental note and hope we find one. Alright, we're dead. Guess we'll try the same thing as last time, not that it did super well. You got to get lucky on some of these cantrips, but I think we're going to keep it. We've got an Epicure, mental note into another Tormod's Crypt. I did mill 2 Lorien Revealeds, which I want to hit spells, but I'd also like to get my land drops. Another mental note. Okay, I guess we can get a Terror down next turn, but I'm not sure there's a world where I wanted to draw all 3 of these Tormod's Crypts. In this matchup, 1 would have been fine. They have a Kitchen Imp off their blood token. Back for 3. You draw our land. Here's a Terror. I guess here's another Tormod's Crypt, just in case. We're going to attack for 2. Another Epicure. Discard a Snacker. Pass. We're going to Thought Scour. Island and a Delver. I'm going to swing, and I guess I'm going to 3-mana Demon Inferior their Kitchen Imp. They're going to chump with an Epicure. Get rid of this guy. They put it on top, even though they're looking for lands. Well, second from the top. They found Extract a Confession. Okay, that's annoying. We take 1. If we can get a land, we can get a Murmuring Mystic down. Nope. Never lucky. Got a Dispel. They have a Grab the Prize with another Snacker. We're going to exile them both. Attack for 1. Still don't have a land drop. Nor do we. Here's a Thought Scour and a mental note. There's our island. Alright. Let's see if this Murmuring Mystic will do anything. I mean, now I want to draw another land so I can also hold up a Dispel for it. Because if it just dies right away, it doesn't help us too much. They attack for 1. Another Epicure. That's another Kitchen Imp coming at us next turn. There's our island. Play a Mystic and pass. We're going to blood token away a Snacker as opposed to saving it for their Kitchen Imp is interesting. Found a Razortrap Gorge. Faithless Looting. And 2 Kitchen Imps. Well, lucky them. I guess we'll Tormod's Crypt away the Snacker and then die to a bunch of Kitchen Imps. We drew a Terror, which doesn't do any good. Alright, here we are again. Delver on turn 1 on the draw. We have some cantrips we're going to keep against Season of Mists. I'm going to guess more High Tide. So Delvers can be pretty good here, but we kind of need some counter spells. They just pass. You get a Thought Scour, that's not bad. Just to transform the Aberration, that is. It's not great otherwise. But I think our game plan is just play another Delver and try to go as fast as possible. Potentially have them on a 3-turn clock here. They cycle an island. Seeing as we have no interaction and not even reliable land drops, this is just our goal. Pass back to us. We get a Lorien, that's pretty good. Back for 6 unless they Giga Drowse us here. Reach through Mists with Psychic Puppetry. Aggressively, okay. Yeah, they get to tap our guys down. Kind of annoying, honestly. That buys them a whole turn. Cycle Lorien and pass. Deep Analysis, okay. That's mental note. Get 2 more Lorien Revealeds, plus we drew a 3rd. So that means we could play a Serpent here, which means we have lethal next turn. We don't have any counter magic, so unless I want to hold up a Thought Scour for the wild Spell Pierce, I think we just play this and hope we don't die. They cycle a Lorien first, that's a good sign. It not being a High Tide and all. Merchant Scroll, okay. They can just cast a Puppetry to survive if we don't have a counter spell for it. They do get the High Tide. Definitely looking dead next turn, I would bet. Delver of Secrets. So I think we just go to combat. They're going to try to tap, and we're going to hopefully draw a counterspell with one of our cantrips. We're going to reach through Mists, yep, with the Puppetry. Mental note, if we get a Spell Pierce, we're going to have to try this when they go for it anyway, so if we get a Spell Pierce here, we can still just win. Brainstorm is not going to cut it. Maybe we can Brainstorm into a Spell Pierce and a land, but not now during combat, unfortunately. We are still going to try for it, because that's the only way we have any interaction. We did not find it. We found an island and a counterspell. So I guess we just pass and hope this Thought Scour will get him, mill him out or something. High Tide. Oh, I did forget the Counterspell actually we can cast because they High Tide. So we'll see if this is good enough. Peer Through Depths with 3 Psychic Puppetries. Look at them. So they have 5 more mana. Peer Through Depths. Do I just save this for the Peer? Do I use it on Peer, knowing that they only have 2 other cards? Do I save it for an Ideas Unbound? I think we gotta save it. There is an Ideas Unbound right there. If they were like super or almost entirely tapped out, I would have used it there also because the puppetry just, they wouldn't be able to untap, but it feels like I'd rather counter the draw 3. Oh, they just have a Deep Analysis too. Yeah, they got that. Brainstorm, sure. Merchant Scroll. Then they find a High Tide. They also got to put back 2 cards, and this shuffles them away. And I'm going to have to counter the High Tide. I think I'll counter this then. Might as well not let them shuffle away 2 cards that they've already seen. So the Ideas Unbound might just have to draw them through those same cards. I don't know. It's probably bait, but it was bait that I kind of had to deal with. A Flood of Recollection back the High Tide. Ideas Unbound with just 2 puppetries. Might have gotten rid of one with the Brainstorm, I guess. Now they have all 4 puppetries. Get a Brainstorm, cast that. Peer Through Depths for Preordain. Cast Preordain. Another High Tide. Ideas Unbound. Peer Through Depths. Ideas Unbound. Another High Tide. Reach Through Mists. You think they'll fizzle here? I give it about a 50-50 chance. Flood of Recollection for another High Tide? That doesn't seem necessary. Another Flood of Recollection for another High Tide? That doesn't seem necessary either. 74 mana doesn't seem that good, honestly. Stream of Thought, targeting themselves. Alright, we have died. I don't think our Thought Scour is going to mill them enough, unfortunately. So we get to spells. They do have Flood of Recollection, so Tormod's is probably better than these Demon Inferiors. Again, they might bring in Murmuring Mystic, but I don't know. Until we see that, I think we just keep these out and bring in 2 Tormods, I guess. Alright, let's try to survive this time. This hand is terrible. This hand's pretty bad too, but I guess it has a turn 1 Delver. Was not fast enough last time. Let's see if it's fast enough this time. There's a Brainstorm. Attack for 3 and we'll pass. And I'll Brainstorm. Tormod's Crypt. Malorian Revealed. I guess I can set up for this second Delver to trigger, because these are not likely to come off soon. I think I'm putting back Lorien Serpent, and I'm not going to Mental Note. I can play this Delver, and it can flip it next turn. Try to present the roughly the same clock we did last time, I guess a little behind here. Cast this Tormod's Crypt too, just in case. They're going to Brainstorm. We'll flip our Delver, cycle the Lorien, and attack for 6. I will Mental Note, I guess. Sure, we get another Delver. That might be lethal next turn. We're shields down, but again, we didn't draw any interaction, so that's the way it's got to be, I guess. They're going to Peer Through Depths at the end step? Yes. They got a Merchant Scroll. Not great. It's a little slow, but yeah, they might just have a way to tap down our guys, plus we don't for sure have them dead anyway. Yep, that's an island, for example. So I guess we'll try to attack for 7, which they probably just let happen, seeing as it's not lethal. I'm going to play a Terror, because it's a harder creature for them to stop next turn, and hold up this Serpent, as if it was a relevant spell. Peer Through Depths, and tap down our land. Yep, can't do anything about that. Reveal another puppetry. Like Lorien, Merchant Scroll for High Tide. Okay. Ideas Unbound on tap 2. Preordain. Cast another High Tide. Cast a puppetry to untap another. So glad they unbanned High Tide. This is very fun, dynamic gameplay. They're going to Brainstorm. They're going to Flood of Recollection on a Brainstorm and unwind it just to untap 3 lands. Yeah, I mean, exiling with the Tormod's Crypt doesn't do anything since they've already countered it. Use Unbound, down to 1 puppetry, another High Tide, Petals of Insight. Bring the Petals back to hand. Petals is infinite with a certain number of Psychic Puppetries / High Tides. Currently it's not infinite, but It's because they look at the top 3, they can put them on the bottom. If they do, return it to its owner's hand. Otherwise, they draw 3 cards, so they can just keep bringing it back. But they have to be able to be making mana with the Psychic Puppetry. And they concede because they whiffed. So look, through no fault of our own, we won the game. We once again have a Delver and otherwise a pretty terrible hand. I think we're not going to keep it this time. We basically only won that last game because they whiffed, not because our Delvers were anything. Delver and Tormod's Crypt is all we see every game. I would like some counterspells. I guess not. I guess we will keep this one, once again, with just a Delver and nothing else. With our sideboard cards, we have 9 counterspells in the deck, so I don't see why we can't get a single one in our opener. He drew an island. We'll pass. They cycle a Lorien, shuffle away their Brainstorm. We get to focus the mind off the Delver. We get to flip that. I don't think we want that, though, because it's too expensive, so we're just going to bin it. Get another island, attack for 3. They Brainstorm, and another Brainstorm. Looking for a land, is my guess. But it looks like they did not find it. That's good for us, I guess. Mental note. I mean, we are flooded, though. Milling our counterspells, too. We have enough to play a Terror, and they're missing a land drop, so I'm going to do that, and hopefully we can kill them in 2 turns. Next turn, we can hold up this Dispel. They have a Peer Through Depths. Not going to find them a land, but at least gets through their well, they could draw a land for turn because they did it in their upkeep. At least gets through their Brainstorm. They get a Reach Through Mists, but they just pass, discard a Merchant Scroll. We've got them on a 2-turn clock, and we have a Dispel up, so this is looking good for us, honestly. All right, and we got there because they just didn't find another land. First things first, what would I cut to actually get this down to 60 cards? I had gone up from 15 of my previous iteration of the deck to 16 lands because that's what I was seeing everyone playing. Feels like 16 is a little bit too many. I feel like you have so many cantrips that you can usually find your lands. Sometimes we get stuck on a low land count. That always happens in some decks. But I think in general, I would probably just drop a land. If you don't want to drop a land, seeing as I'm trying out to Focus the Mind as a card draw spell, I probably would cut one of the Deep Analyses. Although they work well together because you can discard one to the other. But yeah. Anyway, we didn't really get to see the Focus of the Mind at all. I didn't cast it a single time, so can't really speak on this. I think it would have been solid if we had drawn it, for sure. Unending Whisper seemed okay. We got it plenty of times. We only harmonized it once. Did we even harmonize it once? It seems okay. We didn't have a lot of matches where we could harmonize it. Like both the Rakdos matches, first of all, this just seems like a not very good deck into Rakdos Madness, that's for sure. But we didn't have the time, even if it was just like letting one Epicure through because we tap a guy to a Witness. Even if it was just letting like a 1/1 Epicure through because we tap a guy to the Whisper, the 1 damage could be super relevant. So that match didn't seem great for it. Ponza didn't seem like a great one for it. And High Tide, if we had drawn it when we had played a Terror and we didn't need that extra mana to hold up a counterspell, we definitely would have done it. But in general, didn't really come up. Again, I think as an instant, this would be really powerful. I mean, this was only 1 league and we didn't really get to see it too much, so I still think it could be worth testing. I'm not thinking it's probably going to be the new standard or anything, but I think it seems all right. I will say we got to play against 2 Rakdos Madness decks, which seems like a bad matchup, 2 High Tide matchups, which seems like an unfun matchup, and then a Ponza match, which was actually pretty enjoyable. So I don't know. I think we have a fine matchup against High Tide, assuming we actually draw some of our counterspells, because we can present a pretty early threat. So they have to be on the defensive really early or have to have like that turn 3 or 4 win. Anyway, I knew Mono Blue Terror was on the rise, so I wanted to give it a go. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons for making this possible, especially Howard Granger. Really appreciate the support. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.